Can you let them know that you gave the flash drive? Because I don't know that they know where it is. And I don't want them to send me a second. Why doesn't she do anything? That's a good question. What color? One. What color was your light? The white back.
There we go.
Good.
How are you?
Good evening, ma'am. Over the table. Oh, there we go. Over the table.
We will be starting the meeting in about 2 minutes. Anyone needing translating services, cualquier persona que necesite servicios de traducción, favor de ver a la señora Noyola. Again, anyone needing services of translation, cualquier persona que necesite servicios de traducción, ver a la señora Noyola. Empezaremos en 1 minuto 43 segundos. Thank you.
Hey, how are you?
Good, really good. All right, cool.
Hey, Graham.
Okay, so my partner, my name.
I'm going to do a new list. Oh, yeah, I know. I'll see the rest. Right there.
Oh, I had a lot. I wanted to do it, but I was like, nah, I'm just going to go behind the scenes and check it out, you know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
There's 2 more.
Take a look from Bessie and me.
I only have 2 right now. You know what's the next So now I have no pen. Now I have no pen.
we'll be getting started shortly. Karen is adjusting our list. We're moving some students forward.
We'll be fine with the first two.
Okay.
And then
you'll bring me the revised list? Okay. Well, in that case, let's get started. Welcome to this Proviso Township District 209 Committee of the Whole. This is a community forum where the Board of Education is going to be listening to community members talk about the facility master plan. We started the facility master plan back in fall of 2017. There are serious, issues with, the physical plants or the buildings, and we have hired the architectural firm Perkins and Will, who has been in the district now, analyzing the buildings and presenting some options based on, usage and safety, and also based on updating them to make them like modern educational facilities. We've had 4 prior community engagement sessions. This is the 5th. This particular community engagement session was designed for people because there were certain people who were coming forward with specific ideas to update the school. So we wanted to give those people a platform to present their ideas to the Board of Education. So this is not necessarily designed for talking about whether we're closing schools or combining schools or things like that. Obviously, this is, you have the right to talk about whatever it is that you feel is important to talk about. But the intent of the meeting was to talk about specific ideas to update the school buildings. Where the Board of Education is listening tonight. We're not making any commitments. A final decision, like a final recommendation probably won't even come before the Board of Education to finalize our plans until probably November of this year. So that being said, why don't we get started? Everyone who speaks, you have 10 minutes. So please, confine your statement to 10 minutes. It's a pretty long time. If it's less than 10 minutes, that's okay too. Okay. So I'd like to, at this time, call the Committee of the Whole to order. Okay. Yeah. So we are convening this Committee of the Whole at 6:15 p.m. And thank you very much for coming out. I really commend you for taking time out of your evening to come here on behalf of your children. Okay, here. Ms. Graham, why don't you call the roll?
Mr. Alexander.
Here.
Mrs. Kelly.
Present.
Mrs. Medina. Mrs. Patterson.
Here.
Ms. Grant here. Mr. Beltieres.
Here.
President Wagner.
Here.
We have a forum.
All right. Okay. Oh my God, thank you. Let's please stand for a moment of silence and the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. All right, so comments will now begin. Our first commenter is Irma Perez.
Buenas tardes. Good evening.
Buenas tardes. Agradezco la oportunidad de que nos permitan expresar nuestra opinión como miembros de la comunidad del Proviso Township. Good evening. Appreciate the opportunity as a member of the community of Proviso Township High School member y como madre de familia. Como family member. Estoy aquí porque creo que todos los estudiantes del distrito 209 tienen derecho a una calidad de educación, ya sea que los prepare para una educación vocacional al terminar la preparatoria o para continuar sus estudios en la universidad.
The reason because I'm here tonight is I believe that all the students have the right to have an education, a quality of education, and they can be prepared to finish high school and continue with going to university.
Yes. Sorry, I was thinking that. Perdón. Yo pensaba que la firma de arquitectos iba a estar aquí también.
I'm sorry, I really think the architects, they're going to be here tonight.
Cuando se empezó a hacer las invitaciones para que se dieran la opinión en nivel de cuestiones de arquitectura, yo siento que muchos padres de familia no participaron porque pues, tenemos muy pocos conocimientos en arquitectura, ¿verdad?
I remember when it was one of the first meetings with the architects, there's so many parents that wasn't here because we didn't know the knowledge about the architect's plans. And we thought that this was the reason parents wasn't here.
Nosotros asistimos a la reunión de febrero 27 básicamente porque queríamos dar nuestra opinión en cuanto a Proviso West y tenían ideas de mejorar, que pudieran mejorar los campos donde practican deportes.
My husband and I was attending to the February 27th meeting because we would like to say something about the plans for Proviso West High School and according to provide better if the architect can provide a better locations or better soccer fields for the school in Proviso West. Due to a lot of the students have so many injuries because they're damaged in the fields.
Y en esa reunión nos enteramos de las opciones que proponían los arquitectos en las cuales contemplaban que la PMC se fuera a replicar el programa. Ahí es cuando entendimos que era algo diferente.
It's when we find out what the architects have the plans for the PMSA.
En este caso estoy aquí para expresar mi preocupación principal. Nuestra preocupación principal es...
Let Ariana translate. Ariana, can you come up? Sorry, thank you.
Que en este caso nuestra preocupación principal por la cual estoy yo aquí es el de llegar a perder el programa y el edificio de la PMC. sin importar o tomar en cuenta la posición actual que tiene PMSA.
So in this case, our interest one of our
I think maybe I need to do in English. My English is broken and I'm gonna try to do it. My main frustration is we don't want to lose the program and we don't want to lose the building here in PMSA. Because right now, the PMSA, the position they have, like, you know, the news and everything, I think it's important to keep the PMSA. And the main thing for me is I want to keep this environment for the students is very positive and it's very secure here. The students feel like equal and because they share the same interest for education. They have the same goals and everybody here is the same. The main thing is they want to do better and they are high achievers. If you change PMSA to East or West, we don't care if they're going to build a building with 3 floors to move on another place because we feel that it's not secure for students because they're going to feel like rivalry. The environment is not going to be the same. It's like they are no, I don't know how to express, but it's not going to be good. Yeah, we don't want to, we want a safe environment for everybody. If we merge, I'm looking for the word merge in how you translate in Spanish. That means fusionar, combinar, unir. We know that we merge the program. It's kind of, it's not going to help the students. In the meeting that we have in February 27, one parent told to me, it's because the high children could be a role model for my daughter. And I don't think, this is a very unrealistic idea. I think they're going to say, why she's always trying to, how can I say, talk too much, why, kind of, they are teacher pet or something like that. It's not going to be an example and I say, oh, I want to be like her. It's kind of, oh, she's always, you know, or he or her, they're always doing more than we were supposed to do. I think it's my idea. The last thing that I would like to call is also the students, if you put in a merge program, it's not like they don't have to be a role model for another student. You don't put that pressure in a child that is 16 or 17. You put the pressure that they want to improve the academics, the other students. I think this is the work for the school district to do that. And the last thing that I want to comment is the survey they are doing is really complicated. I feel like I'm doing an SAT test. I'm trying to find the way to participate, and it's complicated because they're asking how you can share pros and contras. Yeah, and I can talk about PMSA, but I don't know what is the things that is always they needed. In my personal opinion, I think it's really great they are doing this project, taking the time for opinions and everything, but I think you need to look for the building that really need improvements, and I think could be maybe east. And thank you for your time. I'm sorry that.
No, thank you, Ms. Pratt. Our next commenter is Mark Jones. Is Steve?
Steve Lawrence.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's Steve Lawrence.
Good evening. Thanks for having me.
Good evening.
My name is Steve Lawrence. I've been involved with Proviso Township since 1976. Teacher, coach, athletic director, department head. Was involved when we put the first and only all-weather track in, both at Proviso East and West, 1999 for East, 2016 for West. Also was involved when we built the first replacement of the indoor facility at Proviso West in 1988. So I've been asked to speak for the athletic department on the importance and the value of our athletic facilities at both of our buildings and the potential here at PMSA to do something as well, certainly for PE department. Our facilities, when we did the outdoor tracks and when we redid the indoor track, we redid our football fields back in the mid-'80s for the first time. I know that for a fact, as the athletic director, the excitement for our students, the opportunities for all of our classrooms, the avenues for them to be able to use them. One of the things about a track, about a fitness trail like we have and want to replace and we get redone at Proviso East there on those East Woods and Thomas Jefferson Woods, is every student has an avenue to those facilities. When we do one certain type of class, we address those students, but when we build we put a turf field in, we put the new all-weather tracks, we have access and availability to a safe nature fitness trail. We are offering an avenue of classroom opportunities, athletic opportunities. Every sport runs. Every student gets that opportunity to use those facilities. The fitness trail alone brings in all of our science classes, our botany, our environmental classes, and hands-on opportunities for our students. The other avenue, the importance of these facilities is the availability to our community. At Proviso Townships, we don't have a lot of park districts property. We don't have a lot of access for our community. We as a community school, Proviso East, Proviso West, and PMSA, have always offered our facilities to all of our community. By upgrading them, renewing them, putting in turf, now we have the availability to host those youth organizations, to host athletic competitions, which is a great opportunity for our students to actually be at home instead of always having to travel. It's a great opportunity for our parents and community to be there and to see their children compete at their own school instead of having always to travel. The advantages for the cost issues, because we can rent these facilities out to the other organizations, we're able to use that money to help maintain and keep those facilities up. And then again, having those facilities for our student athletes and our community as a whole. So obviously I'm here to hopefully bring it to the point when we do the buildings and when we saw those drawings at the last meeting. Personally for me, I'm a person that knows the history from 1910 addition, building the 1933 addition, the 1966 when they connected the two buildings. It's exciting for me to see those outstanding plans by our architects and the opportunities that we have, hopefully in this next couple of years when you make the decisions on what directions. But hopefully the athletic facilities are a larger component of that as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Our next commenter is Maddie Norton.
Hello. My name is Maddie Norton, and I'm a sophomore here at Proviso Math and Science Academy. Many students here consider me an advocate for their voice and an advocate for them, so that's why I'm speaking in front of you today. So many people throughout the district have been trying to say that PMSA students have been trying to put down and bash the students of East and West. This is the exact opposite of what we're trying to do. The students of PMSA want nothing but the best for our entire district. I actually have 3 siblings that graduated from Proviso West, and my oldest sister is a highly regarded children's librarian, and my brother-in-law is studying to be a pharmacist. So I have the utmost respect for the entire district, all facilities. Recently, a student-made survey was put out on social media for the students of PMSA, East, and West, respectively, to their schools. According to the data that we received, 84% of students from PMSA that took the poll said that kids at the school are friendly. 71%, whereas 46% of students at Proviso West that took the poll said that kids at the school, or at Proviso East, I'm sorry about that. 46% of the students at Proviso East said that kids at the school are friendly, and 42% of students that took the survey at Proviso West said that kids at the school are friendly. At PMSA, 71% of students that took the survey said that kids at the school are involved in school activities. At Proviso East, 54% of students that took the survey said that kids at the school are involved in student activities. And at Proviso West, 46% of students at the school that took the survey said that kids at the school are involved in school activities. At PMSA, 74% of students that took the survey say kids are hardworking. At Proviso East, 46% of students that took the survey say kids at the school are hardworking. And at Proviso West, 27% of students that took the survey said that kids at the school are hardworking. So we are not in any way trying to bash the students of West or East. We are trying to make the district better as a whole, but we can only do that if all students in the district are on board with us. One of the proposals for the Master Facilities Plan was to build a Math and Science Academy in either East, West, or both. How would this cause unity in the district? We believe that, in fact, it may cause more dismay and segregation. How would you monitor who went into the PMSA wing? Have a security guard standing there saying, you can go in because you're at PMSA, and you can't because you're at Proviso West, or you're at Proviso East? We believe that this would cause more segregation throughout the district, when, in fact, we want to cause more unity throughout the district. In no way, shape, or form is PMSA opposed to East or West students. We want to accept the district as a whole. After all, we are one Proviso. But we can only do that if all students in the district want to do that as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Martin. Our next commenter is Jean Tam.
It's my birthday today, so I'm going to let my husband.
Thank you for this opportunity to speak today. My name is Eddie Tam. My wife Jean and I have lived in the district for 26 years. Our son Alex graduated from PMSA in 2015. And our son Chris is currently a sophomore at PMSA. To Dr. Cavalas, the faculty, PMSA staff, and especially the students, congratulations again on being number 8 out of all high schools. And number 261 out of all schools nationwide. This is according to the U.S. News and World Reports News list of best high schools. That means PMSA is better than 98% of the schools in the state and the nation. This claim cannot be made by any of the more popular public or private schools in our immediate area. The number 1 ranked school, Walter Payton's College Prep, and number 2 ranked school, Northside College Prep, are both located in Chicago. Both schools are successful, stand-alone, selective enrollment academies located within a public school district. Both schools have had nearly 20 years to prove themselves. At 13 years old, PMSA is catching up to them. Application to the Math and Science Academy is open to all the students in District 209. Its entire student body comes from this district. The students are your neighbors' children. They attended elementary school with the students who now attend West and East. For the most part, they are probably still friends. High school enrollment in our state is down. District 209 is surrounded by more attractive school choices. In this competitive environment, the district must set itself apart from other districts that draw our students and families away. The hard-earned success of PMSA differentiates our district. It must be the driving force behind any plans for the Proviso future. Being unique creates values in the minds of the residents of our communities. If they do not value the district, they will not support it. They have already made that clear by moving, by paying private school tuition, and by simply saying they will not support a tax referendum. With the 100% graduation rate and high college readiness scores, PMSA has proven itself to be an asset to the district's overall school report card. As of yesterday, the running total of scholarship offers to the class of 2018 is 11.4 million. It is expected to go higher. The district must use these accomplishments to secure more financial support from the communities it serves, as well as from the state. When PMSA families ask if the school will be closing, the standard response from the district is, no one is talking about closing the school. Yet the opposite is true. Moving PMSA to another host campus is the same as closing the school. Splitting PMSA so that it can be relocated on two separate host campuses is the same as closing the school. Either of these options would destroy the culture, the learning environment, and mission of the school. The purpose of this meeting is to present ideas for the future of District 209. Also, a survey on the master plan options was recently emailed to district families. We feel that there are still some hard questions that need to be asked before either of those tasks can be completed. We would like to use this opportunity to bring these questions to the community and to the board as they consider adopting a master facility plan.
First of all, what is the expected enrollment for PMSA once it's moved to a host campus at either East or West? Will it be a smaller, even more selective student body, or will the school be open to more students from the district? PMSA's facility is the newest of the three schools. Proviso East is the oldest, and West has the most space for expansion. At the April 24th meeting, it was presented that West was originally built to accommodate 5,000 students. Merging East onto the West campus would meet the 85% utilization target. If the master plan is supposed to explore all the options, why was PMSA the only school shown to be relocated? We'd like to know if current students have been surveyed to see how many are willing to relocate to a host campus, and if enrollment drops, how will this affect state funding? If PMSA's unique learning environment that drives high test scores and college readiness is disrupted, how will that affect the school ranking and the overall district report card? Currently, 700 plus PMSA students have to provide their own transportation to and from school. Once PMSA is relocated to one side of the district, will there be bus service for half of the student body to get to that campus? For example, if PMSA is moved to the west campus, will there be school buses to take PMSA students living on the east side of the district to the west campus? Again, all students from PMSA have to find their own transportation right now because they're motivated to go to school. Will the PMSA students have their own science and computer labs and library, or will they use those of the host campus? And if shared, who will schedule those facilities? How will PMSA teachers be motivated to follow? With a financial incentive, and is that fair to the teachers already working at the host campus? Will there be 2 principals on the campus? Will the PMSA leadership have to negotiate with the host school on the behalf of their students? Thinking about future students, how will the upcoming high-achieving students apply to an unproven math and science academy within a host campus? And looking at the great progress made at both East and West, as Maddie said, how will the addition of PMSA students in a separate building affect the overall morale and climate of the host school? The master plan being developed focuses on facilities. When can we expect a presentation on a master plan for curriculum for the diverse needs of the students of the district? And we're wondering if the board picks one of the scenarios with PMSA being relocated to a host campus, what is the time frame for implementation? Is the recently admitted class of 2021 the last for the academy in its current model? Now, some people might say we're complicating things by posing these questions at this stage in the process, but I'm sure you can tell that moving PMSA is not a simple solution to the challenges that the district faces.
1 minute remaining.
And we feel that being silent is giving approval to dismantle the PMSA culture. So we're wondering, after tallying up all the PMSA positives, why does it seem that the future of this awesome school is in jeopardy? We have to build on our success so that all can be the best.
I have questions typed up, so if you would like to have a copy of that, I have 10 copies here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Tan.
Thank you.
Our next commenter is Marita Nemesh.
Hi.
Hello.
My name is Maria Nemish. I'm a sophomore at PMSA. And I'm just here to talk about how PMSA has made me the person I am. The school has made me outgoing. I came to the school not knowing if I would find a place or if I would make any friends. I came to the school worried. And I worked for my education, I believe. And I feel challenged at the school every single day. This school makes me feel like a community. And I've participated in clubs. I have made so many friends, so many opportunities that I've been able to take academically. And I believe that so many other PMSA students feel the same way as I do. Over the past week, a study was conducted at PMSA. There were 200 responses to the study, and the first 10 questions were about aspects that would change if PMSA were to merge with East or West. And then the other couple questions, the last couple questions, were how students would feel in a different environment, or how we feel about East and West, and how East and West has kind of been portraying us in a way, offending them. So, to begin with, the first couple of questions that I talked about that were based on aspects that would change were presented as you could rate them from 1 to 5. 1 being highly dissatisfied and 5 being highly satisfied. I had 200 responses from all grade levels. When we talked about class sizes, 92.5% of the students rated it from a 3 to 5, so neutral to highly satisfied. The classes offered were 85.5%, size of school 87.5%, location of town 86%, and the staff of PMSA 90.5%. We then talked about the wellness classes, which were 85.5%. And then I asked questions about aspects that we would potentially, how students would potentially feel if we were to merge. So one of the questions were, are you willing to sacrifice a larger gym, athletic fields for the opportunity of keeping PMSA the way it is? There was yes, no, or unsure. 76.4% of students said yes. See, the thing is, PMSA is our safe place. We feel honored to go to this place. There's so many good things about the school that we hold close to our heart. The average ACT score of PMSA is 24. We were ranked as the 8th top high school in the state. We have 100% graduation rate, and we are one of the few schools in the nation with both an IB and AP program. We also hold the lowest per pupil spending on the list of top high schools, meaning we did this all for a lot less money than a lot of other schools did. We built this reputation, and the problem here isn't the money. That's not the main focus of this. They should be trying to replicate what we have here at PMSA and what we have to give, not trying to change it. I also asked, do you think a smaller school contributes to a feeling of community? 77.4% of students said yes.
74 point whatever of your respondents,
Yeah.
not students, right? You said 200 people responded to your
200 students at PMSA.
Right. So it wouldn't be 76% of students, it would be 76% of respondents.
Yes.
Okay.
Would attending a school within a school make you feel segregated? 84.9% of students said yes. And here I moved on to talking about the issues that kind of have arose from West and East, portraying that we have been offending them and that we don't necessarily want to help them. I asked, do you think the focus should be on improving East and West and not in changing PMSA? 83.9% of students said yes. The other schools have so much potential to receive opportunities that they need. I believe that PMSA, we have all these achievements and we've built this reputation for ourselves. So what is the point of trying to change that? What is the point of trying to alter that in a way? If we can take this time, we could take the opportunity, we have the opportunity to help East and West. And we should think about what those students want, not what PMSA, not trying to change PMSA in a way where we already feel like we don't want to change. We don't want to sacrifice anything to merge with these other schools. We like to be the way we are, and if anything, we believe that the other schools should be helped. So the objective here is to find out what will help the other students and what they need. This is all about the students, not the money, again, not anything else. And the goal of this is 1 proviso, not 2, which is what it kind of is turning into, how it's feeling, the tension it's creating. And we need to start pushing this mentality further. The last question I asked was, do you want the students at East and West to like their school just as much as you like PMSA? 82.9% of the responses I got said yes. Even if this merge doesn't affect students at PMSA right now, future students should be able to have these types of opportunities PMSA has and West and East should have and must have. That is all.
Thank you, Mr. Mack. Our next commenter is Helena Garcia. Is Ms. Garcia here?
Actually, I'm going to speak on behalf of my wife.
Okay.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. Victor Moreno. And I don't have much to talk. I didn't really plan for this. It was my wife who she intended to say a few words. I agree with the previous commentators. I mean, the comments were pretty much how we all feel. Me being a parent of one of the students here. And again, I wasn't really ready for all of this. But what I can say is that if big changes occur, many of us will consider moving out of the district. I mean, I would consider sending my daughter to a private school, and I'm sure that's probably the feeling of many of the parents here, because we really like PMSA, and we believe it works. And the other schools should be looking after PMSA, learning what PMSA has done, and try to follow the steps of PMSA. That's really all I can say. Thank you.
Our next commenter is Samantha Chavez.
Good evening, members of the Board of Education.
Good evening. Good evening.
My name is Samantha Chavez, and I'm currently a sophomore at Proviso Math and Science Academy. When I was in 3rd grade, my mother took me to PMSA to see my cousin take part in a musical. I saw how bright and exuberant the kids were while they were acting. It was almost like they were the people of the story. I saw how excited my cousin was when she played the judge, and she wasn't afraid to make a fool out of herself. I wanted to be that person. I wanted to believe in myself. I wanted to be confident and ready to do anything. That's when I decided that I really wanted to go to Proviso Math and Science Academy. I tried so hard to get in here. I focused on all my classes. And the moment I stepped into school, I felt like a whole different person. I felt like that I could do anything. Before I went here, I was a shy, introverted girl who thought she wasn't good enough to even walk out of her house. I didn't have many friends. But once I came here, I felt like the old me vanished and that a new, confident, outgoing persona took over. My love for the arts grew stronger because I was with other people who worship it more than I do. There was also a broad choice of after-school activities, such as robotics, math team, key club, anime club, you name it. After I joined the anime club, I made so many friends in one meeting. This is one of the reasons why I love PMSA. They're not afraid to take in the weirdos of a school. They take, like I am. They take in the most colorful, lively, hardworking, bright, smart, kind, unique individuals with incredible talent that could change the future of this country and possibly the world. We have students here that graduated from here and became future entrepreneurs, lawyers, doctors, artists, and so many other professions. My cousin, who participated in that musical when I was in 3rd grade, she's now in Atlanta, Georgia, being an entrepreneur. Currently, we are the number 8 school in the county. And you want to take the school away? Suppose this plan works out. How does this affect our future students? How does this affect our future students? Well, when I enrolled here, I felt like that I could be accepted. I had so many teachers who believed that I could become an animator like I want to be. They appreciated my love for the arts, and they accepted me for who I am. I mean, look at me. I'm a quirky, nerdy individual, and I mean, I even draw my hand, and does anyone care about that? No. My teachers are okay with it. My friends are okay with it. And I feel like that. Actually, I don't know what I feel like. There's just so many emotions going through me. Before I came here, I didn't even want to get up for school. But now I get up 1 hour early before my mother to get my brothers and sisters ready for school. I was like, Mom, get up. I don't want to be late for school. Oh my God. I mean, I get up at 5 a.m. Seriously. You know how hard it is. The thing is that if I go to another school, if PMSA closes down, I wouldn't feel as much confident that I am here. I mean, I go to school every day here with a big smile on my face, even when I'm under the weather. Like, my teachers tell me that I'm always smiling all the time. And I feel like that if I go to another school, my confidence will go down. And I would feel like a victim of being different. But this school, they accept different people. And I feel like that you shouldn't be taking it down. Instead, you should be honoring it. Instead, you should be replicating it. And to be honest, isn't this Proviso Township motto? Nihil nisi optimum, which means only the best.
Nothing but the best.
Nothing but the best. And I feel like that PMSA was a miracle to me. It was the best school that I've ever gone to. And I feel like that when I go to college, it would still be a great school, but I will never forget about PMSA. And I feel like that other schools could have an opportunity to achieve at being the best, just like PMSA. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Ms. Cutler. Our next commenter is Lisa Hamilton.
Funny found out. First, want to say congratulations to the kids here who have actually spoken out and the passion, the enthusiasm to speak up. I wish I was like this at this age. So congratulations. So again, my name is Dr. Joe Hamilton. I'm Chase Hamilton's father. Just want to read a couple of words. So first, I want to congratulate everybody. You have created a school in PMSA that is unmatched in the state, that takes great teachers, an inspired board, driven parents, and a diverse student body with economically disadvantaged students, and created a collaborative and trusting environment necessary for ensuring high-quality learning and student success. This academy is now recognized as a special and powerful school that not only celebrates test scores, but also the hard work that is necessary between the board, students, faculty, and parents to create such a school. And our son is thriving in this environment. Chase is now confident in his learning ability which is evident in his grades and is noticeable in his dedication during his hours of homework each night. Actually, he's at home right now doing homework. He is even socially active with friends he has made at the school, a skill he was not very comfortable with in grade school. But the environment here is safe and addresses the emotional, physical, and academic demands he needs. We think it is a mistake to interfere with the success of this academy by possibly moving it into another school. You have created a high-performing environment that schools and teams throughout corporate America try and recreate every day. However, recreating these high-performing environments or trying to emulate the cultures that these teams have created is rarely achieved. Just look at the other schools' 5-year plans. They are all striving to reach the success that this school has achieved, and it's not easy. There are a lot more failures than there are of successes. When companies go through mergers, one of the most difficult aspects of this new marriage is combining culture of different companies. I know this is one of the options on the table by possibly merging PMSA with either Proviso West or Proviso East. Now, more than 80% of these corporate mergers fail, and for many, it is due in part to culture clashes. Many experts believe that culture is the only true sustainable competitive advantage, and consequently, the root cause of any merger's failure or success. So how do we know that PMSA will have the same success if it is moved into a different school with a different culture? Will this new culture provide the same learning environment that has already been created at PMSA? How will students or teachers from both schools react to each other? And will these culture differences ruin what has been created? If creating this culture was so easy, Proviso West and Proviso East would have the same learning environment as PMSA that emboldens a strong sense of leadership and followership, an intense shared commitment between all stakeholders, and terrific communication. These traits have made PMSA greater than the sum of its parts. My wife and I understand the financial attraction for possibly combining PMSA into another school. However, we think you need to be extremely cautious about moving the school or interfering with its success. We now have a school that is enticing families to move into the area. When has a school in this district done that before? Many families, including mine, were skeptical of sending our kids to school in the district because the schools are arguably not performing well and are not very well respected. Just look at the ratings and reviews on the internet when looking for homes. But PMSA is changing that. So even though many of the schools in the district need renovating, let's find a way to continue PMSA in its current location while bringing the rest of the district into the 21st century. Now, we also appreciate the efforts of the board in developing the master facility plan for each of the schools. But for us, it's impossible for my wife and I to choose a design since we don't know the cost of construction or the financial plan to pay for such improvements for the district over the next few years. We didn't see any cost projections for capital improvements in the initial financial plan presented in February. So again, we want to applaud the board, the faculty, the parents, and the students at PMSA for making this school a success. We need to study PMSA and understand its successes and try and recreate those successes throughout the district. We already have a successful roadmap. Let's not take a wrong turn. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hamilton. Okay, we're going to have one more commenter, and then we're going to take a brief 10-minute break. So our next commenter is Gianna Cepeda.
Good evening. My name is Gianna Cepeda.
Good evening.
And I am currently a sophomore at PMSA. Before I begin my presentation, I would just want to say that I have no intentions to bash any schools or to say that one school is better than the other. I would like to make two main points today. My first being that PMSA is a small school and it builds a sense of community. Data has proven that smaller schools tend to excel. As the board and everyone else may know, PMSA ranks 8th in the state for high schools. 5 out of the top 10 schools have a capacity for 1,000 students or less, and 6 of the 10 schools were built within the last 20 years, so they are fairly new. Within smaller schools, students tend to know every other student, and they have the chance to know teachers and feel comfortable asking questions in class. Whereas if we had a bigger school with bigger classes, students may be scared or timid to ask questions in front of other students, making themselves seem dumber or less confident in their questions with other students. The parents come in and they get to know other parents and the teachers. the teachers are able to give the parents actual feedback, not just the basic information saying, oh, your student is doing great. My second point is that there appears to be some disciplinary and absentee problems at East and West. Two solutions to this is to continue giving them the same curriculum and hope it gets better, or give them something new, something that makes them excited to go to school. A teacher from last board meeting stated that the students missed 30 to 60% of the school years at East and West. Instead of just a cosmetology class or a building class, give them a class showing them how to open their own businesses in cosmetology or construction, something that gives them a little bit more excitement. It appears that too many of them are not happy with their classes since they don't show up to their classes, so let's change that. Not only will it change the attendance, but the graduation rate. PMSA has a 100% graduation rate, while West has 81% and East has 64%. Furthermore, it can improve the college readiness. PMSA has 84% for college readiness, while East has 14%, while West has 14%, and East has 10%. Even if the students decide not to attend college, it prepares them for their future because they will have background knowledge in a field they are passionate about. We want the students to be happy and be successful at all three schools. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. All right, so we're going to take a brief 10-minute break. So we'll be back at a little after 7:15, and we'll finish the comments. All right, thank you.
If there's anybody that's registered to speak that did not check in with Miss O'Shea right here, she's asking kindly that you come on up here to meet with her. Once again, anybody that registered with her to speak but did not check in with her this evening, please come up and see Miss O'Shea right now. Thank you, everyone.
All right, yourself? Good.
I'm pretty sure you see it.
All right, thank you everybody. We are going to resume with our public comments. Leading off the second half is Mr. Robert Cox.
Okay, just real quickly, my name is Bob Cox. I'm kind of familiar with Proviso. I'm a Forest Park resident, and I'm also a alumnus of Proviso East class of '72. So what I think is important for everyone to share with tonight is this is a project that This is a project that I started to do with a group of people at Proviso East in October of last year. We didn't really know that the master planning processes were even installed. This is kind of an independent project that I had enough interest to pursue. So I had asked and volunteered, I'm a volunteer, to facilitate this group, and the group contained, we called it the Proviso Lab Initiative, and Proviso Lab is just the name we came up with. This is something we conceived. Kind of the idea, if they dropped the bean that's on Millennium Park down on Proviso's football campus, we'd have this new structure, and it certainly could be a lab. So we had all sorts of different ideas with it. This is a little bit about the work that we did. Okay, so I just explained a little bit who we were. And again, 6 teachers, a couple administrators, and a representative of the Cook County Forest Preserve District. Where we were really located, we did what they call a visualization exercise. And if there's anybody in the planning field or real estate or development, basically you go into the field and you walk a space and you look at it and you make observations and you see some considerations. So we are talking specifically about the Proviso East eastern border. That's the shared border with Cook County Forest Preserves, known as Thomas Jefferson Woods. Why? Because basically, we knew there was unused space, and there's some problem issues with that space. Just because anything, especially in a school campus, if it's dead space and you don't get a chance to use it, it really doesn't serve anyone any good. So what we proposed, really based on three different units, we have repurposing, renewing, and reconnecting, which again are kind of like plaintiff's terms, which are really kind of what people are doing these days. Obviously, we don't have the situation where we can say we can build three brand new structures. We have, you know that we have 1.2 million square feet. We can do something recreated with them. Repurposing, renewing, reconnecting is really what it's all about these days, and there's savings for that. So the layer 1, we got four layers that we came up with as a group, and I discussed this, would be not an original idea, but talking about a sustainable boys and girls fitness or trail. And at one time, if you don't know, cross-country runners could use that Forest Preserve District land. This is not Proviso property, this is Forest Preserve land, and actually had their cross-country course on that. Layer 2 is a little bit more interesting. It's really creating a building, perhaps, in public and private interest. And the only way I can analogize this, if you're familiar with the High Line in New York City that took over an area of discarded railroad, or the Troll in Seattle, I think that area where they took an underpass and put public art in, it just readdresses the space that has been used, but there's a partnership and it's a public space. Layer 3 got more interesting as we pursued this. This is where the master plan really came in, something we thought would be good timing. Because in order for us to conceive those first two things, we also had to talk about what was good for Proviso. Because Proviso really is the primary institution on that area, unincorporated Cook County, so if people don't know that, that's what it's on. So we thought that, what's happening now with curriculum, what's happening now with some of the things that the students are currently addressing, and some of the policies that District 209 started to adopt. So we came up with a group summary, and that's what I'm going to do very quickly tonight. So if you have time for questions, I can do that at the end of the presentation. We have some anecdotal commentary from Boys and Girls Track staff. I don't know if Coach Lawrence spoke earlier. I'm sure he was here earlier tonight. He's part of this program. He's part of this team. And we also had some really nice commentary from JROTC Commander Person. Okay, there's opportunities here, and this is again coming back to the reconnecting, a lot of cross benefits for something like this, these programs. You have different curriculum, discourses, you also have different, in this day and age where you're talking about schools, it's not the blackboard and lines of desks, you've got component style classrooms, you've got all sorts of classrooms that are done in a more modern fashion. All this requires long-term planning. And I have to say, for as long as I've known Proviso, that's a weakness. Proviso Township just hasn't really focused on that. I think they are now, so I want to applaud the board and the superintendent, because long-term planning is the only thing you can really do in public institutions. Things move slow, and if you don't have that long-term plan, boy, you miss your goals, and all of a sudden you're back to step one. And we're also interested in exploring collective impact strategies, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. There's a lot of green space at Proviso East, so this would be a question you could ask, what would be a shared public space to do for the community, and what things could happen. So our proposed priority, again, is that boys and girls trail, or physical fitness trail, really, and the proposed course would meet IHSA requirements. Here's the good thing. So if you had to pocket out how much this would cost, it's a shared program between Proviso East High School and the Cook County Forest Preserve. And shared would mean we used to have just an agreement. We'd keep the forest trails clear. That was it. There was no cost, there was no staff, but there were some issues with that because when there was bigger debris, of course, our facility and our maintenance are not, responsible for moving that. So this would be something that Forest Preserve District is interested in doing. And this also increases social capital, and that's just the term. Communities who support their high schools have all sorts of benefits just because the community supports their high schools. Again, Proviso has been struggling with that. So this is going to give you another opportunity for public service, volunteer hours. The Forest Preserve has programs specifically that give students service hours. So that's another avenue that many of the schools can take advantage of. I'm not going to go too long on STEAM and STEM. People who don't know what they are, they're basically it's technology and education now. And we put three categories. The next two slides actually do the same thing. There's just more stuff. 21st century technologies. This is stuff that's out there now. Course subjects or things that we may be teaching now or maybe going to teach. And then research areas which bring you to a career. So these are things that are pretty hot. We did a little exercise with one of the JROTC classes. We asked them the simple question, I would like to work for this company. I would like to learn this skill set. We gave them a list of 6 companies, Google, Amazon, a couple others I can't remember. And we actually got them to write, so I thought that's significant. Kids are thinking about technology jobs. It's up to us to be able to see how we can feed it into our high school system. And STEM starts in 6th or 7th grade, if I'm not mistaken, if not earlier. Maybe Dr. Rodriguez could talk about how that works. It's a certification program for engineering. We're already doing it in Career Academy, so this is something that D209 has decided that it can move forward with. Same thing. If you can take away any of the slides tonight, there's only a couple more left. This is the one I think that would be most significant. This is what our group came up with. This is in concert. You have technology programs and facilities that create student career pathways. That's the name of the game. For all communities, for our students, it isn't so much about doing the best on the test. It isn't so much about going to a school that has all these different luxuries and extra curriculum. It's about making the students' experience meaningful so they can get a great job. A great job, a global job, a high-tech job, not a intermediate, mediocre job. So this is important. You guys maybe know this. I'm an old guy. I'm 64, and this is what I have to understand. Classrooms are no longer exclusively brick and mortar. They operate with digital curriculums, which means they expand. Classes can talk to other schools, other classes, so we have to design towards that. However, traditional facilities do house the capacity, and I think that's what the architectural firm had talked about, capacity and growth, so this plan kind of coincides with that. I have to identify what I call Proviso Builders Commentary, and that is, again, Coach Steve Lawrence and Commander Darrell Pearson. This is just an excerpt. Real quickly, I just want to throw some highlights on this. Commander Pearson worked on a scenario he modeled after Aurora High School. I can't remember if it's Aurora West or East. But in 25 years, they had a program that started out with 100, they built it to 1,000. And they have a new facility, they partnered with the National Guard.
1 minute.
Okay, so healthy mind, healthy body. This is again the cross-country provision that I think would be great. And they've done it before, and we have the personnel to know how to do it again properly. Last part, big picture thinking. This is what we end up doing, addressing all those things in PAC. I have to do collective impact real quickly because I'm in a position where I can say the R word, which is referendum. We don't want to go to exclusively referendum for all this. We want to be able to find out things that can cost and use partnerships with NGOs and private partnerships. If you get a chance, we'll have this in it. It's available through the district or through me. It's a white paper called Collective Impact. It's worth your reading. And it's another avenue that you can pursue. So conclusions are that, let me see, I'm running out of breath here. We're trying to ask, we want the district to get this information. We're just handing it off. We're done with our stuff. And then it dovetails with the master facility plan, just a couple more statements. You'll really think you'll be interested in looking at collective impact. And I was very happy to do this with the group. And I want to, again, congratulate them for letting me help them facilitate. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Todd.
Thank you.
Our next commenter is Jose Espin.
Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening.
My name is Jose Espin. My daughter attends PMSA. My son attended PMSA, and I have 2 nephews who graduated from PMSA. And so throughout the years, I've been happy to see the enthusiasm and the energy that the leadership at the school brings every day. That energy that has the students bringing more and more and willing to get more and more out of the school. Not only them, but the teachers, the staff, and really everyone who has ensured the continued success of PMSA throughout the years. And so, I've been really concerned about this idea about moving PMSA into either east or west. I've been trying to wrap my head around how this is even an idea. I mean, you think that if you have all these fantastic statistics, and I'm just gonna hit on both summaries, 100% graduation rate, a school that is better than more than 90% of the schools in the entire state of Illinois. How are we willing to even change that? Why? It just doesn't. I think that the frustration that we have is that we can't even understand why that's an idea. Now, through all this, what I've done is talk to teachers and parents and almost everyone I find on the streets of Westchester where I live to see if they are seeing or understanding something I don't. Sadly, nobody has been able to explain to me why this is even a good idea or something where we should be spending money and hard-working tax money evaluating. And so one of the things that I did is that I went to the 209 website and I went across videos and materials trying to find an answer. And I spent a lot of time till 1 a.m. in the morning and I couldn't get an answer either. However, one of the good things I saw in there, and one of the good results is that I changed my view on Proviso East and Proviso West. I was happy to see students come to this board and tell you how proud they were of their schools. And I was happy to see that sense of belonging and how excited they were about their future and the future of their school. And so those are all good feelings and good things that are happening. And I'm hopeful that one day bringing one school into another one is not going to matter to any of us because all the schools will be great. But that day is not here yet. We have a lot of work to do before we can get there. Now, this is a concern because we will be really, literally killing PMSA and what it stands for. And that's because there is an undeniable truth. And everyone knows this. I haven't found answers, but everyone has told me. If they move PMSA into either East or West, we'll pull our kids out of PMSA, take them to private, or move to another town. And so that will literally kill the school. A teacher in Proviso West knows this. And so, you guys, the board, you guys are part of this community. I know a piece of your heart is in these schools. And I just don't get how we kept on giving gas to this idea. Why didn't we stop it before? As a matter of fact, why don't we stop it now? So, I know, Dr. Rodriguez, you spent your first 100 days in office understanding us so that you could be understood. I think you have a lot of work to do there, because right now we don't understand you, and I don't think you understand us. So, I think I know we went through, a very thorough process to bring you here. We do not want to be disappointed. Now, I was here, I don't know how long ago, maybe a month ago. And I was here to understand the master plan, and things were presented to us, and I understand that one of the reasons is we want to share facilities and get the PMSA students to enjoy some of the privileges in terms of infrastructures that the students from Proviso East and West have. But that still is not a reason to move PMSA into anywhere else. If buildings were important, there would be 90% of the schools in the state of Illinois would be better than PMSA, and that's not the case. So we need to find another answer. We were here a month ago or so, and we were given these red and green dots to put on the drawings. We couldn't put more because we run out of red dots. And literally, there were no more places to put red dots. There were red dots on top of red dots, and we have the pictures to prove it. So why are we here talking about this? I am here because, of course, my wife asked me to come. Almost like every other father. But, of course, because I care about my kids. The ones who have passed, the ones that are who come. I have a 12-year-old studying hard to make it into PMSA. And there are many of them. So please get this thing straightened out. There is no more debate to have. This decision should be done today. We gotta drop this as if it was a bad habit. This is it. I mean, I don't know what else we need to wait or listen for. I'm almost done, and I'm glad I didn't run out of time. But to close, I asked my wife to find out today if the individuals in the boards were all volunteers. And she actually made about 3 phone calls that she found out that you guys sit here and listen to us and work hard to make this community better. Yeah. From the bottom of my heart, I want to thank you for that. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Steve. Our next commenter is Fernando Ortiz.
Good evening.
Good evening. Fernando Ortiz, and I would like to discuss about PMSA. Oh, okay.
Thank you again.
I want to start off with a question. Why must our education be put at risk for an experiment with no guaranteed result? The merging will bring a burden on the district, families, and the community. Families and students announce if the merge happens, they will leave the district. A survey was conducted by a student. There's actually 100 students who took it, and 75% of freshmen reported that they would want to leave the district if the merge happens. This will affect the families because they stated the reason they moved into this district was because of PMSA. And if PMSA is closed, they will leave or send their kids to a new school. And this will have an effect on our community. Vacant houses leaves people who stayed here in your district, in our district, with higher taxes because there are vacant houses. And with that, it is proven to be true, the people who stayed will have higher taxes. And this will affect the district with, because with less students equals less funding to the school because of the state. Well, you get funding for how many people are at the school. Ever since the master plan was announced, there has been a lot of tension between all schools. But before it, I never really heard of anything about the schools fighting or arguing between each other than sports. This plan makes us all nervous, wondering what's going to happen with all of us. If PMSA merged with the school, it would not work. The other school would take over and it would just become one. Imagine a school where only a certain school, students, are able to go to certain hallways or rooms. This separation will cause even more tension than there already is.
Speak a little louder?
No. You're wrong. Okay, so back to where I was at. There's already so much tension and talk about each other right now, negatively. Imagine putting all of those students in one school and think how the students may feel about a school within a school. So moving on. Success and student achievement should be the main focus of the district and not money. Merging will actually cost more money on the long run with people leaving, and it is proven too. And instead of taking PMSA, why not put funding into East and West? They're already improving and explained it at the last board meeting, how they're doing it. They're already succeeding, so let's help them succeed more. Take their hand and help them with this step so we could be one Proviso. And I know people talk about, if you want to help Proviso West and Proviso East, you should do something about it to us PMSA students. However, that is not the case. In order to improve these schools, we as a community have to do the job too. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ortiz. Our next commenter is Roger Robinelli.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
I'm Roger Romanelli, and I live in Hillside, and I'm a graduate, 1985 graduate of Proviso West High School. And I salute all of the students and all the parents that are here today. You make us all very proud. Our group in Hillside, myself and some of our neighbors, we formed a group called Hillside Forward, and we're volunteers. So this summer, we're going to be holding community meetings to talk about these ideas. And if anybody's here from Hillside, you're welcome to see us after the meeting. In addition to the schools, we're going to be talking about parks, public safety, jobs, infrastructure. So if anybody's here from Hillside, feel free to see us after the meeting. Now, I looked through the master plan ideas online, And I want to thank everybody for all their hard work, because obviously a lot of hard work went into all these ideas. And I wanted to just react to a couple ideas. First of all, one of the plans talks about a new field house and modern sports facilities at Proviso East. And I think that's wonderful, and I think that the students at East deserve the most modern athletic facilities. And as a gentleman mentioned earlier, if we have a new field house at Proviso East, then hopefully the whole community can use that, especially in the winter time, right? You want to go out and take a walk. So I hope that that could be something achieved. I also want to suggest, when you look at the upgrading of all the facilities, that something we're seeing in real estate in Chicago and all throughout is the addition of indoor bicycling facilities, so that if people ride their bikes to school, they can park inside to keep their bikes safe, and also perhaps have showers. I'd also like to see a bike repair shop in all the schools, you know, in case you get a flat on the way, they can repair it there. I also think it'd be an important piece of curriculum at all the schools. Another reaction to the plan is there's a lot of green space at all the schools, potential. I'd like to see some potential arboretums, even if they're small, you know, planting certain trees and have maybe integrate that trees and landscaping into the curriculum so people could be stewards of the forestry. The other issue with respect to the plan is I think more information is needed for us to go into the communities and share your ideas. For example, at Proviso East, there's a facility here, the Family and Consumer Science Culinary Arts area that you want to look at or maybe improve. There's no real description of what that is. So, you know, if there's any way to add a narrative to the plan ideas that would just amplify what some of the ideas are, that would help. Now, let me say, we, as one Proviso, we also have dollar bills by dollar bills in all of our pockets. And I can tell you with absolute certainty, as a taxpayer in Hillside, our taxes have gone through the roof. And we can't afford to pay any more taxes. In fact, our taxes should go down. Our taxes actually, the way Illinois funds schools is upside down. We should get more money from the state to help areas like Proviso West that need more funding. So this fall, I think we should all be registered to vote and ready to go to save more money for our schools. But what I want to say about the plan is when we look at these wonderful ideas about maybe additions here or subtractions here, we need to know as Hillside residents, what are the capital needs of our schools right now? We're in wonderful air conditioning environment here. That doesn't exist at Proviso West and Proviso East. So what I'd like to see in this option of plans is, what are the basic capital needs for Proviso West and Proviso East? That is, to bring them up to speed with air conditioning, what would it cost? Are there major physical needs there? Do the roofs need to be fixed? The parking lots need to be fixed? Even this parking lot, what would it cost? The upgrading, there's a medical facility at Proviso West. It's vacant. I don't know if you know this, but what would it cost to activate that? In other words, we can dream, we want to dream. We're Proviso, we're the dreamers. But at the same time, what costs are needed today to make these schools their basic functioning and improvement, so we can balance the dreaming with the needs. The other thing I want to say to all of the PMSA students, and I work in economic development and real estate, is that whatever happens going forward, whether it's this school or East or West, perhaps you could be involved with the future engineering decisions or landscaping decisions. I'd like us to see all of us as a Proviso community apply for solar panels at our schools and wind turbines at our schools for alternative energy, even biomass. So I just want to say to all of us, it's a time to come together. It's a time to learn this whole process and the implementation. And I hope there would be a student committee to help us follow forward with the recommendations. So in closing, we are going to hold community meetings in Hillside. And I urge every village to do the same. We're going to try to get feedback to you. I think you want to make a decision in the fall. So if you can get us some more narrative information, that would be wonderful. And I thank you all. I really want to thank the board for volunteering. These people, they're wonderful volunteers, not getting paid. They're doing it for all of us. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Rubenelli. Our next commenter is Pia Davis. Hi. I stand corrected.
I might not be the most popular person here this evening for what I have to say. And I have to say, I appreciate the students' involvement and their means of expressing how they feel. But we also have other students in the Proviso East and West community that needs a voice too. I am sorry I wasn't here for the other meetings because I didn't know anything about them. Neither did my neighbors. They didn't know. And so basically by not knowing, we would like to be able to fill this room as well, to be able to give our input as to what's going on. I have a granddaughter that I'm raising who's currently 11 years old, and she is questioning high school and her future and where, and the fact that where is she going to go to high school and what is high school going to mean to her. She has grown up in this community, attending Sunnyside Elementary School since she was in kindergarten. She is bright and a very terrific student. Thank you. And a very terrific student. And is entitled to a first-class education, whether it is in PMSA, Proviso East, or Proviso West. She is also entitled to carry forth her education with her friends that is within the community in which she has grown up with. She is also entitled to learn in a safe environment free from negative surroundings with the existence of a zero-tolerance enforcement where learning is the priority. She is entitled to a healthy collaboration and support among her peers through education and all the experience that high school should give you as a student. I believe resources should be divided between the existing high schools of West and East. All students should be faced with the same dilemma, first-class education as the priority. I take it from a personal point of view. Why should I pay taxes just like everyone else and not receive the best for my child? Why should I have to choose between paying for a private institution or crossing my fingers as to if she is accepted in the PSMA? That should not be the alternative. That's unacceptable. We are entitled to a high standard of education under the law, and any taxes and resources should not be divided among us to where it divides us as a community. It should be taxes that goes for all the children that are in the Proviso 209 district. There are no second-class citizens. There should not be any second-class education. I implore this board to fix our problem and get back to what Brown versus Brown was applauded for, a just and equal education. It is important that when we leave here tonight or any other night that you come forth with whatever you do, that you look at that our students are just as important and should be given that opportunity. It shouldn't be just PMSA. It should be the students in Hillside, Westchester, Bellwood, Maywood. We should have the same affordability. And therefore, I shouldn't have to try to choose what do I do now when she turns to the age of going to high school. And when I heard the statistics here tonight say that at Proviso West of the graduation rate, that's scary. That is really scary. That means something is really wrong. I don't know if it's the teachers, I don't know if it's the school, I don't know what it is, but that is really a problem. But you can't have, I didn't interrupt anyone else, don't interrupt me. I could not understand how we can sit here and look at this. This school is beautiful, it's nice, it's a nice edifice, it stands on its own bottom. But the bottom line of it is, our students deserve the best too. and quit acting like we do not exist in this community. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Davis. Our next commenter is Mr. Neil Rootstein.
After that, I'm definitely going to be disappointing you, so I apologize in advance. My name is Neil Rootstein. I'm a teacher here at PMSA, and it is really an honor for me to follow Ms. Davis because I share a lot of her views. What I want to talk about today primarily isn't one school versus another. What I want to talk about is what are the right answers. And I think one of the things that we need to think about is, have we really done the sort of investigation or made the inquiries that we really need to make? So one of the things that has been distressing me about this process is that the consultants that we've hired are architects, and they're very good at what they do. They can tell us how buildings are utilized and what changes to buildings would need to be made to house other students. And on those topics, they're experts. Unfortunately, we need to know more than just the things they're able to tell us. For example, one of the things that they're not able to tell us is what is the advantages of a small school versus a big school? And what the research shows is that small schools yield higher student achievement, and they yield higher student satisfaction. So really what we want to be looking at is not changing PMSA, but looking at those things about PMSA that are successful and using that model, the things that we've accomplished here, to help the students at East and West achieve the same things. We talked about moving a school within a school. That's a fairly radical notion, and it's fairly irreversible. If we close down this facility, however you want to define close, if we move this facility to East or West and decide it's not working, they're not going to reopen this. This took, and I'm glad that board member Ms. Kelly is here. You were here at the creation of PMSA, and that took an amazing amount of courage and vision. And I imagine that it must be a great source of satisfaction for you to see this school have achieved beyond anybody's wildest expectations. We've already heard the statistics many times. You don't need me to tell them again. That sort of vision and courage is hard to come by. Most districts aren't doing it. And if you look at those top 10 schools, you've got all these Chicago schools with their enormous enrollments. And then you've got little Proviso keeping right up with them. You don't see any of the other districts doing this. What you guys have done, what you guys are currently superintending, is really quite extraordinary. It is a miracle, as one of these students earlier said. The research shows that schools within schools are really problematic. They don't tend to last. They're all started with the best intentions. But as other students as the students have noted, that the animosity that has now grown up around this issue, where one school population is being pitted against another, will be exacerbated beyond anybody's ability to deal, right? What are we gonna, one student noted that, are we gonna have a school that has one wing dedicated to PMSA, and while the students all share the athletic facilities, the cafeteria, some students won't be allowed in one section. They're gonna be effectively told every minute of every school day that they're not good enough to go into this one section, it's just for the special PMSA kids. That would be a nightmare. And no one, even the PMSA kids, wouldn't want to get educated in an environment that is unequal. And so it's schools that have tried the school within school experiment, what they have found is, after a few years, it breaks down. Because that sort of tension between the two facilities is just untenable. And what you'll have is, what you'll have, understandably, is a lot of, while the firewall between the schools at first will be fairly impenetrable, fairly soon it'll be fairly porous, and for very good reasons, right? If there is, and I'm sorry that Ms. Patterson is no longer here. She and I had a great conversation at the last meeting, and we both agreed that one of the things that would be really great here is that if there is space to have more students here. And if the population of this school isn't reflecting the demographics of the community, then it should be adjusted so that it does. And if there is a student here who is not taking advantage of the opportunity to be here, that student should be moved to a curriculum that is going to meet that student's needs. And if there is a student, conversely, who is at East or West, who is performing but didn't get in as an 8th grader, well, let's bring them in as a freshman or a sophomore or as a junior. There's no reason why we can't do that. So that equity is not just something that happens once, but that can be continuous. And students can see at all the schools that achievement is rewarded. But even beyond all of that, I think that the discussion here, by and large, has been very positive. What we've heard over and over again from the PMSA students is they have nothing but the best wishes for their fellow students at East and West. They don't want them to suffer. They want them to be as happy in their schools as our students are in our schools. So really the focus, I think, should be what can we do to make that happen? What is the reason students are so happy at this school? I think there's two things. One, we've been talked about adequately, which is small schools provide that sense of community. I think the other thing that is the component is that we are selling a product here that the students, that the parents of these students, that our PMSA community wants. We tell them, we're going to give you a college prep curriculum. That's it. You're not even going to get a gym. Don't ask for a field house. If you want to play a sport, if you want to play a sport, you have to take off your purple jersey and put on a red and a blue one. And they're perfectly happy to do that because this is what they want. So what we really need to be focusing on is giving the students at East and West things that they really want. One of the students mentioned that we could continue doing whatever we're doing, but it seems to be of limited success. I'm not at East or West, so I really don't know a lot about these programs. But the sense that I get is that the auto shop program, the culinary program, the cosmetology program do really well there. And I think we should have expanded opportunities. I think there should be a pre-law program that prepares students to be paralegals or police officers. There should be a pre-med program that prepares students to be nurses or paramedics or pharmacists. There should be a computer tech program that prepares students for those careers. One of the reasons I only have 10 minutes if you keep doing that. One of the reasons that the students here are so successful is that they see the connection between what they do every day here and their futures. What I fear, and again, I am not at these schools, I only know them from talking to other teachers at those schools. What I fear is that the reason that you have less buy-in, that you have more absenteeism or more discipline problems, at whatever rates they are, and I mean no disrespect because those are difficult environments, I think what is happening there is you have a lack of engagement by the students. They don't see that connection between what they're being asked to do every day and how that's going to impact their future. And I think it is incumbent upon us, the adults in the room, to help them make that connection. Currently, for whatever reason, we are not connecting. And as a teacher, I know. One of the things that I do know is how to teach them. And what I know is when I'm trying to teach somebody something and they're not getting it, I don't blame them. I do something different so that they will get it. I try something new. And I can't see for the life of me how taking the contents of PMSA and putting it in another building is going to advantage those students one bit. Instead, I see a lot of negatives. I see a lot of opportunity for greater animosity, and I see instead of the 25% of the population raising to 75%, I fear, as Samantha said earlier, that these students here who come here every day and don't mind being quirky, don't mind being nerdy, because they know they're not going to be intimidated or made to feel less because they want to do well here. I fear that there will be a negative impact. I have actually a bit of a PowerPoint. If I can put it up on the screen, I don't know if someone can help me with that, or maybe not. Or I can just show it. I can just hold this up and then you can see it. What I have here, and I don't have a. I don't know if
Is it the white thumb drive?
Yeah. Is it the white one?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the white. The white flash drive. No.
That's the presentation master plan?
Yeah, I think so. Carla, you put this one together.
Master plan.
There you go. And you put forward 2 screens.
You have 1 minute remaining.
Okay, one more screen. I'll talk fast. All right, this is information that a colleague of mine put together from information available on the internet. These are, historically, over the last 20 years, the ACT scores at the 3 schools. You can see at the beginning, at the left-hand margin, red signifying, obviously, Proviso West, and blue signifying Proviso East. You can see that prior to 2005, the development of this school, scores were declining. And I can only guess, and Ms. Kelly can tell us because she was here at creation, that it was partly to arrest that decline that some very courageous thinking had to be done. And so it's at that time, when we see that little dip in 2005, that's when PMSA was created. 4 years later, when we get the data from the first PMSA class, you see up at the top that purple line. What's interesting about that is that you would expect to see, once you have taken that student population out of East and West, you would have expected to see a huge decline in the production and the student achievement of East and West. Instead, you see stability there. What that tells me is that the purple line reflects those students who stayed in the district, or those students who came to the district because PMSA was a standalone. If you merge PMSA back into East and West, as some of the parents have indicated, what you can expect, based on what they've said, is a return to the average scores, blended scores, prior to the creation of PMSA. So what I'm saying with all of this is that PMSA's success has not come at the cost of East and West. And so by looking at this as a zero-sum analysis, we are pitting one school against another, and that's a real shame. Our focus should be, what can we do to make East and West as good, as wonderful places to go to school as PMSA is? And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. our next contestant. Our next commentator is Shannon Wood.
Good evening, President Wagner, School Board, Dr. Rodriguez.
Good evening. Good evening.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak tonight, and thank you for everyone who's come out to do so as well. My name is Shannon Wood, and I'm a homeowner in Forest Park with 2 daughters, ages 6 and 10. I am also a board member for one of your foundation districts. I attended the last meeting where the building concepts were shared. I heard at that meeting that more money is needed. To get more money, you will have to ask for a property tax increase. It was also mentioned that better buildings will promote more academic success. While I understand that the new buildings will be a factor in raising the level of academics, I believe that there should be more measurable success before new revenue is asked for. The information I'm going to reference tonight was taken from the Illinois School Report Card. It is from the years 2015 and 16, as 2017 data is not yet available. I'd like to start with PMSA. What an amazing achievement that PMSA was ranked number 8 in the state by U.S. News & World Report. In 2015, the PARCC scores reflected that 41% of the students did not meet or partially met state standards. In 2016, that percentage decreased to 30%. Proviso East. In 2015, 82% of the students did not meet or only partially met state standards. In 2016, the number went up to 87% of students who did not meet state standards. Proviso West. In 2015, 72% of the students did not meet or only partially met state standards. In 2016, the percentage increased to 95%. 95% of those kids. Let's talk about college readiness. PMSA, 84% of students scored a 21 or higher on the ACT, which is seen as being college ready. Proviso East, 10%. Proviso West, 14%. I have heard over and over that we are one proviso, which I believe in. This data shows otherwise. The students at East and West deserve better. The only part of any plan that I agree with to renovate the facilities is to improve the educational environment by addressing building problems and replacing dated furniture. Shiny new buildings are not going to raise your test scores. As a taxpayer, I will not agree to raise my taxes until there is much more improvement academically at all schools. I also wanted to discuss discipline before this evening, but when I asked for the information, I was told to FOIA it, which I will be doing. There are parents who are concerned about the discipline issues at schools. Witness the recent water balloon fight at West that needed additional administration brought in from other buildings to quell the disturbance and caused the substitute teacher to be so scared that she hid under a staircase. A new building will definitely not solve the discipline issues. In fact, I feel that the newness of the building may not stay that way for very long if the discipline is not gotten under control. I commend and respect the hard work that has been done in District 209 in the last few years, and I have no doubt that it will continue. But the gains at this point have been minimal, and until I see significant gains, I am not willing to put my hard-earned money into new facilities. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Wood. Our next commenter is Kamlesh Patel.
Hi, good evening, board members.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Parents and staff of Proviso. Thank you, security, for keeping my kids safe. And this means security for all facilities. I'm not pointing out just PMSA. What I want to do is voice some of my concerns and thoughts. The objective of the board, basically, as taken from superintendent's letter, is to ensure that every school has a vibrant community and prepares every student for college, career, and life. Much of what I'm going to say has been said here already, but I believe that memorization is based on repetition. Okay? From what I know, factual information, right? PMSA as it stands today, there's a plan for the solution. And I'm just putting PMSA there, but I also heard and read somewhere that there was also talk about peace being, dissolved. So there's just mixed information out there. Okay? We're talking about the key piece that I want to point out over here is the reason PMSA came into existence in 2005 was to stop student hemorrhaging from our communities going out to Frederick, Trinity, Walter, and Nazareth, which goes in line with what one of the teachers was showing on that graph. We had scores going down. Students that are academically inclined are retained in our district. Scores start trending up. To me, that graph adds up to what's going on here. Additionally, attending the last few board meetings, it's helped me understand that obviously students at each school are very stressed. And I can account for that with my own two kids who go to PMSA, who have become disengaged. And that's not a good sign for a parent. So as you, the board, for the head of the educational system, I see the same thing as the head of the household with my kids in terms of education. So just wanted to point that out to you folks. And I'm sure you've probably seen that if you've got kids also going to schools within any one of those districts. Here's what I wanted to show you. Instructional and operational spending that we have. Pretty much straight through the alumni report card. Seems to be the same for all three schools, right? What are we getting for the money we're spending as taxpayers? This is what we're getting. How do we explain this? How do we explain this effectively? Right? Is it a part of instructional component, academic instructional component, that's causing this stark difference? And why? Right? Us putting up buildings, new buildings, just like what the parents said, right? Putting up new buildings won't help us get those numbers up. We need better instructional components to be put in place to help engage the students. Like Samantha was saying, she wants to come to school. She gets up at 5 in the morning. Heck, I couldn't get up that early. Even today. But if you look at the graphs that I'm showing over there, those graphs are our comparative stats on how college ready are the kids. Comparing school district and state. That also speaks volumes. Here's what I see as a problem. Systematic structure, right? Standardized approach to rules and structure. We do have standardized rules, we do have structures, but are they enforced? And are they enforced equally at each of those sites? I don't know, but based on some of the comments I've heard in the last couple of meetings, it seems up in the air. Right? So who should be enforcing those things? That's one question. Parents. One of the young ladies, I guess she left, but she was saying that East and West parents are feeling that they're not getting equitable benefits. While that may be true, one of the key things to remember as well as part of education or as a part of getting into any institution, you've got to have the passion, you've got to have the drive, you've got to be able to hit the mark. And that's where resilience comes in. So it's teaching all of our kids resilience as well. What fix are we proposing? This is what I've heard so far. Dissolving schools, restructuring, adding additional programs for students at East and West. Which I think is brilliant, right? What else is there? What else have we not considered? These are some questions that I have that I posted to myself as I was going through this. Most of these have been asked. One key thing that sticks out in my mind is all this money that we're talking about to get new buildings up, etc. Where are we getting this money from? Floating bonds, raising taxes, and are we ready for that? What's going to happen? You raise taxes in this community. People are going to stick around. They're going to say bye-bye, right? What about the psychological welfare of the kids? Because the kids really are at the center of attention here. Are they going to be psychologically taken care of? As it is right now, this is causing us a rift already between the kids, right? And part of it may be adult-driven. This is what I think we could do to help all the students. Because one of the things that I heard is students are coming into the high school at a much lower reading level or standard than expected. We have school entrance exams or school entrance expectations. I won't even say exams, I'll say expectations. There are certain expectations that every school must comply with. So if you're in a junior school, that school must be responsible to bring you up to that specific status, just like college readiness. If you're not ready for college, you think the college is going to accept you? I don't think so. You better go get some tuitions and get yourself up or take some remedial classes to come to that standard. So that's what I'm proposing over here. And even then, within that high school preparation, get competency-based placement for each school. Because everybody learns at a different pace, everybody learns differently, they have different capabilities and capacities. Some people are brilliant at math, but can't do anything with art. Some people are brilliant artists, don't want to do anything on computers. It's just a matter of figuring out what the kids want. At the end of the day, we're looking to get these fine young men and women to be competitive in the global market, not in the District 209 market. That's what I want people to kind of have an idea. And that goes to the parents as well. Right? Parents need to understand that as well. That schools can only do so much. Parents need to enforce some regimes, some structure to help with the schooling issue. And obviously, just released was an audio clip from Bernice Foyer. Who wants to listen to that? It's just saying that we, out of the 10
1 minute remaining.
Out of the 10 schools, we came in 8th. We were the only 2 out of the 10. The rest were CPS. Just some fancy tidbits. The reason I'm saying what I'm saying is, these are the places that I have been educated at. All the dots. I did my junior school in India, high school over in London, did my bachelor's over in Hawaii, master's over in Rutgers, New Jersey, and I did my Triton College remedial courses here. So I'm just saying this based on my experience, because I have been thrown out of whack in all kinds of different standards of education. And to have kept up with that requires resilience. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Patel. Peter Scheidler.
Go to a normal height. So good evening. Thank you very much.
Good evening.
I know my dad's taller than I am. So thank you very much for having this meeting and allowing people to voice their concerns. So I'm Pete Scheidler, and I'm a math teacher here at PMSA. And well, sometimes I look at numbers. And when I read the first story in the fourth part review after the initial meeting that I didn't, not the initial, maybe the third one or something, is it the fifth?
This is the 5th.
Yeah, so after the third, which had these percentages in the 60s on the different schools. I just assumed that this one was the highest one, because I work here and I see how crowded it is. I was rather shocked to find out that we're the ones that are at 64, 65%. Is that right? So one of the questions I would have for the architects, and maybe for you to ask them, is how did they get that number? And one of the reasons I raise that is that we have an 8-period day here, and I teach 5 of those periods in the same classroom, and it's very fortunate to me that that classroom is not utilized any other period. So I can tutor students in there and plan and grade and arrange things for other lessons. I do know that there are things that I do here that I wouldn't do, I couldn't do, if I didn't have any of that kind of downtime. Well, that fraction of 5 out of 8 periods a day is 62.5%. I think my classroom is 100% utilized. So I would just put that and ask, were the computer labs considered as classrooms when they did that division column? So where's this coming from? What was their algorithm to measure capacity, right? And so some other things. This is my 3rd year at PMSA, but I've been a teacher for 20-some years. And I used to work in a small school that was, it was a high school that was in an old elementary school building in Chicago that was built in the Depression. They moved that school into another school and created a school within a school format. Within 2 years, that school was gone. So for me, hearing the school within a school model floated is a little bit like a bad dream. I've also watched students go through this terror of finding out that their school was on the chopping block. So I'd like to thank you guys for having these kind of meetings. We had these kind of things, and people said that the same line, no one's talking about closing any schools. But that was in Chicago, where the board was going to do what the board was going to do, and it was already a done deal. The meetings were just a formality. And I hope this isn't a formality. Well, thank you for being open-minded. Because there are some ideas out there that really should be, killed. So, and then another job that I had, I worked at one of our feeder schools for a while. And piggybacking a little bit on the data that was up here with the line graph of the test stuff, one of the things about selective enrollment schools that some of the research shows is that it's not so much whether a student gets into one of those selective enrollment schools, but whether they actually apply into them. Piggybacking on what Mr. Patel said about drive, that effort to actually make the application says so much about what that student's values really are, what that family is looking for the kids. So if you look at that graph again, you'll see that after the creation of PMSA, everything went up. You look at the individual schools, they went up as well. But having worked at one of those feeder schools, it was interesting to see students putting together applications where I would write letters for them. And by the way, we read the applications here. We don't do a whole lot of reading of the teachers' recommendations. I put a lot of effort into those. Then came here and realized nobody was reading what I was writing. I'm getting older. But it is true that we saw students working hard because PMSA existed. And they would, you could call a kid into a little meeting with teachers and then act like a little knucklehead. Be like, yeah, I'm going to straighten up. I'm going to try for PMSA, you know. And you'd see that actually work, you know. The kids, just because this was here, they had something to strive for. Whether they made it in or not was really not the most important thing. It was the idea that they had that thing that they could reach for. So keep that for them, please. That's pretty much all I have to say. Well, you know, back in 2008, when the financial crash happened, I was living in Berwyn at the time. I live in North Riverside now. Heard a report from the school district there that Morton was responding to the financial crisis by canceling the AP classes. I sold my house. I bought a new one, but you know, people move when you take away the opportunities like this, and I did it. So a lot of my personal experience is really related to what's going on now. And that's why I wanted to talk to you guys. Thank you very much for taking the time to listen. Oh, feeder school. It was Stevenson. Well, I was there the first year they were in middle school. And it was packed. So the thing about capacity, that was interesting. Someone came in there and said, hey, we can fit 1,000 students here. I was talking to Mr. Parker, the principal there, when his students came for the math competition. And I was asking them about the capacity. Because they put on a new couple of buildings. So we had teachers on carts moving around and stuff. But we had 1,100 kids in that building, which was designed for about maybe 800. And it was just, it was really hard to get from class to class. And I asked some of my students about our 5-minute passing period that we have here. And you know, if we're at 65%, right, then the theory is that we can handle 1,100 students. I'm sure I could teach them all, but it would be so packed to try to get from room to room. We had a fire drill. It was the faulty smoke that we have. Our detectors for it work perfectly. So Mr. Bryce made an announcement today. We had a faulty smoke detector go off, and that was a joke, bad one. It's a teacher thing, so it's a 9-1. But it took us about 4 minutes to get outside with the gigantic stairwells that we have, which is good, because I think if it took us 6 minutes and there was a real fire, we'd have some serious problems. If we had 1,100 students. Anyway, what the architects are saying about this building's capacity, I think needs to be reevaluated, because I think about 800, maybe 850 is about perfect for this building. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Beckman. John Ross. Is John Ross here? Sylvia Foti.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Sylvia Foti, and I'm an English teacher here. And I decided to spend my evening here with you because I've gotten distressed about all this discussion going on about moving PMSA and some of this talk of the animosity against PMSA from the other schools. And I don't even think that this is coming from the students. They're not in charge of the restructure. And so I'm worried that it's the adults. And I hope that the whole idea of moving the school is not about envy. These students at PMSA are achieving so much. As you all will know, so many of them come from very difficult circumstances. Many don't have a lot of money. Many are children of immigrants, or they arrived here as immigrants themselves. As an English teacher, I try to make connections between literature, what we're reading, and their own lives to make the discussions more interesting. And very often we have very deep, meaningful conversations in the classroom, in which the students share very personal things about themselves because it's a safe place for them to do that. So I know from what has been said out loud in the classrooms, what has been written in personal essays, that we have students, for example, who have been children of drug addicts, who have left them on the street to fend for themselves. Some have joined gangs. I know many of these children have been raised by their grandmothers for most of their lives, and God bless their grandmothers. Despite all these obstacles that so many have faced, these students are achieving at an amazing level, far beyond the hopes of the people who founded the school, who conceived the school long before I ever showed up. I came here 11 years ago, so the school was a vision long before I arrived. And of course, we all know, we love the statistic, PMSA is now number 8 in the state. Whatever is happening here is because it's working. I urge you, don't move the school. You cannot take what these students are achieving here at this location. You cannot take what is working so well against so many odds and propose such a radical change. I've been a journalist for 20 years before I became a teacher, and I believe that if you move the school, it's going to be a public relations disaster. Please don't move the school. What we've done, when we do something really well, something perfectly, we tend to move on to the next project, the next task. Things are working great here at PMSA. If you tinker with what has been achieved here, you might break it. How are you going to get it all back? If you move the school and things get worse, what are you going to do? That move could be irreversible. If people are envying what is happening in this school, I submit that it's because their needs are not being met. Our students have what they need. They want to go to a four-year college, and they see the connection between what they're doing here and how that's going to help them in the next stage of life. We need to look at the other two schools and find out what excites those students. At the core of their education, of course, they will still want a college prep curriculum, but maybe things need to be augmented with other opportunities. As Mr. Rutstein said, I think that things are going in the right direction with the vocational choices. And I think that there's a great job happening with the automotive, the culinary, and the cosmetology training. I also have another idea that could be a big help and would be something completely new and different and radical that I don't think is happening anywhere else as far as I know. You could also make some very positive news with this concept. I suggest you hire more psychologists and social workers to work full-time addressing the emotional needs of the students. Offer students individual therapy and group therapy along with English, math, science, social studies, what have you. Address their emotional needs at a very deep and intimate level, which is what happens in therapy with a psychologist, where it will really make a difference. Finally, I would like to close this on a positive note. I live near Midway Airport, and one day, this amazing band was marching right down my street. And I swear I didn't know who this band was, where this band came from. But I was so impressed with their sound, the energy, the marching, the uniforms, the charisma. And then, of course, it was the Proviso East Band. And that band is something really special. Whatever that band has is something to admire, to be in awe of, to cheer, to be generous with, to love, something to be enthusiastic about. That shows that the students at East and West are capable of great, miraculous things. It's our job as the adults to provide more of these opportunities. Moving to school will do nothing for them and nothing for PMSA students. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Harvey. Anissa Burrell Butler.
Good evening, board members,
Good evening.
faculty, and the rest of our guests. I want to introduce myself to some. Many of you know me. I am Elise Burrell Butler. I am PTO president here at PMSA. I am a parent of a python. I'm a wife and an aunt of a panther, and I'm a cousin to many pirates. So my family has been in this community for well over 30 years. My husband's kind of old. I've been listening tonight, and at the previous commentary online, unfortunately, I wasn't able to attend the last couple of meetings due to some work obligations. And I came prepared to say a few different things, but as I've been listening to the students speak, the parents, the teachers, I just actually kind of rewrote what I was going to say. So we know, as far as the school, we know what the reports say. We've heard from the students, we've heard from the teachers, and we've heard from the parents. We know that PMSA is number 8 in the state, and we're very excited about that. And I know you guys are too, because it's your district as well as ours. But the one common thread is we want all of our kids to have a great education. You know, and I feel just like with the schools, this happens in Chicago all the time area. The kids should have a choice in where they would like to go to school. And you know, in life, we don't always get our first choice. So, you know, there are kids that they filled out the application, they tested to get into PMSA, so maybe we took 200 and they were 201. So, you know, all the time, we don't get our first choice. I wanted to marry Will Smith. I didn't. So I took the next best thing. However, whatever the result, wherever we end up, we should do our best. And also, in Chicago, everyone wants to go to the Paytons, the Whitney Youngs, and the Lanes of the world. I'm a product of Chicago Public School. I didn't get into either, you know, so that doesn't make my education any subpar. I work alongside of people that went to all. We all end up in the same school or job or what have you, so that's not even an issue. But we know that it's our job as parents, teachers, and counselors to let our kids know that they are valued wherever they are educated, whether it be at East, West, PMSA. I was also happy to hear from all the students last week at the board meeting. They were so passionate about their schools. The Pirates were raving. They love their principal. The West, they love their principal. They love what is trying to go on over there. And PMSA, I know, because I'm here, I know that our students love our principal. They love our school. They love, this is their place. This is their home. This is where they chose to go. They got here. Some people chose to go to East because they wanted to play in the band. They wanted sports. It didn't mean necessarily that They couldn't get in, but they chose East. They chose West. They chose for whatever reason. And if you were 201, we're sorry, but do your best at East, West, or wherever you are. You know, a school does not make who you are. You have values and morals that are put in you at home or wherever your upbringing is. So let's stop making this about what school you go to. So wherever you end up, we want you to have the best education. And for me, let's find a way to keep all the schools open, about evaluating what they each need. So yes, I've heard a lot of people get up here and talk about all the glitz and glamour. PMSA is a nice building, but there's a lot of non-glamour here as well too. We've had different shows where we didn't even have the correct lighting, but our kids were so happy to just be here performing because this is their school and they love it. So they get up here and perform. We don't have a track, but we love our school, but we go and we put on the red to go and march in the band or play football or cheerlead at the red and the blue. The students here love their counterparts as well. We don't want that conflict because it's just creating conflict. You know, if you're a pirate at heart, you love being at East. If you're a Panther at heart, you love being at West. And if you're a Python at heart, you love being at PMSA. It's as simple as that. The money may not be that simple, but for the kids it is. They don't see all of that. They see what they love, and they love their schools. And finally, I want to say I'm definitely for one proviso, but that doesn't mean that it's one solution for all students, but the right solution for each student. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Ms. Burrell Butler. And last but not least, Christy Dotson.
I don't think she made it.
Oh, she didn't make it. Oh, so that means Ms. Burrell Butler, you were last but not least. So thank you for batting cleanup tonight. Okay.
So, nobody asked this question, I just wanted to make sure that it was also out for you folks
Sure.
to consider. Have we conducted an impact analysis of how this community would be affected by those different changes that were suggested for us?
There is a lot more analysis. There's going to be a demographic analysis, real estate analysis. There's a lot more analysis that's going on over the summer before a final recommendation would be brought to the board.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, well, I mean, I would like to thank everyone for coming out and spending their Tuesday evening here with us. We appreciate your feedback, and we are truly listening. So I guess at this point, I would like to, we have a special adjournment procedure for a committee of the whole. Everybody say we're adjourned. Get a motion? Okay. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Can I get a second? Any discussion? Ms. Grant, please call the roll.
Mr. Alexander.
Aye.
Mrs. Kelly. Mrs. Medina. Aye. Ms. Peterson. Ms. Grant. Aye. Mr. Belfier.
Aye.
President Wagner.
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Wait a minute.
This is PMSA.